Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello, and welcome to another episode. Happy Halloween. I thought it was fitting on today's episode to share some horror stories, some balloon nightmares, if you will. Over the past couple of months, I have had some spooky situations, if you will, where I have screwed up and customers have been unhappy, and I'm sharing all of the terrible nightmare stories today that I have gone through. One has a happy ending, one does not, but I am sharing all about my customer service, how I handle uncomfortable situations, and I always know that the silver lining of screwing up is that I get to make a podcast episode about it and share what I have learned from the process. So we are going to take a quick break to head over to the UGlue hotline, and then I am getting into my personal balloon horror stories to haunt your dreams on this Halloween. Welcome to the UGlue hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks. Brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hey, Sarah. It is Hannah Harvey from Bows and Balloons Events out of Fort Mill, South Carolina. I'm actually on your pumpkin plans. I'm one of your pumpkins. But I know that you're having that promotion this week for your color catalog, and so I have a tip that I just recently learned, and I think it saves a lot of time and it's not as messy. So instead of attaching flowers and different floral things to the garland, I was using either like glue dots or low temp heat gun. I just learned to start using rubber bands and tying them around the like leaves area instead of the stem, which is what I was focusing on before. So you still want to protect your stem and make sure it's not going to pop up a balloon, but tie your rubber band around, and then it just goes right around the balloon, just like as if you were attaching your 5-inch or your other accents. I thought it was very helpful and not as messy, and then it also allows you to reuse them. Thanks.
Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, UGlue, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on UGlue when you buy directly from Having a Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. All right, welcome back. So let's get into my first balloon nightmare. This is one of the more significant screw-ups that I have had in my career. You know, there's those occasional things where you forget a supply or you're late or whatever. Well, I missed a job. That is my big screw-up. So I took a vacation this summer. I went to Alaska and then I went to Canada directly after to host a workshop with my friends at Pacha Balloons. And I was flying home and I sent my reminder emails through 17 Hats, and they say, see you tomorrow. Here are the details for your event. Let me know if you have any questions. And I was in an airplane and I got a text from my client saying, my job is not tomorrow. It's today. It's in 2 hours. And I think this screw up felt terrible, but it also was one of those things where there was literally nothing I could do. I was in an airplane. And before I responded, obviously my heart sinks, my face goes white, like I'm going to barf all over the person next to me. It's like the worst thing possible, right? Like knowing that you're not going to be able to deliver what someone has essentially purchased. However, what was more concerning for me was figuring out why, like what happened, because I obviously wasn't intentionally going to plan an installation the day before I knew I was going to be back from vacation. Like those calendars dates weren't even available. So I tried to figure out what was going on. So the first thing I did was pull up the client's invoice and clear as day on the invoice, it says, Thursday, whatever the date is. And it's currently Wednesday as I'm having this conversation. So the date is incorrect. So immediately I think it's her mistake. Like, you told me the wrong date. It's on the invoice. Everything I have says that your event is tomorrow. So everything that I had in 17 Hats did say that the event was on Thursday. But here's where things went wrong. Once I was able to actually track down her email, this was hard because this was a repeat customer. So instead of filling out my form on my website, she had just directly emailed me. And she had said, my party is on the 15th. And for whatever reason, I looked at my calendar and I saw the 16th. I'm available. Yes. So I responded to her email and said, yes, I'm available. Here is your invoice. Please check the details and pay, and we'll be all set. So like a lot of people, she didn't check the details, and I had entered the date wrong. So it completely was my fault. However, there was a little bit of a safety net there because the invoice did say the date that I was anticipating. But at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter because she had the email conversation where I had confirmed her date. And that is my own fault by not following my own system. So that was kind of my first takeaway. Anytime I am working outside of 17 Hats and not entering dates into my actual booking system, there's room for error. So that was the first mistake. The second was that instead of using my email templates that automatically pull those dates and tokens from the invoice, I manually typed it in, and I manually typed it in wrong. So totally on me. Yes, I could have blamed her for not looking at the invoice, but what are you going to do? Someone has an email from you saying that you're going to be there on a certain date and you're not there. So even though I had figured out what had happened, it didn't change the situation. I was in an airplane. I wasn't going to get to her job in 2 hours. There wasn't anyone I could call and talk through because it wasn't a simple order. It was like a champagne pour, and I was going to do centerpieces. The good thing was it wasn't a wedding. It wasn't someone's 75th birthday party or some significant milestone. The one thing I had working in my favor was that it was a girls' night at a country club. So no one was really going to be missing the balloons, but it doesn't make it better. I totally screwed up. So I don't know customer service-wise if I handled this well, but I'm going to tell you what I did. And that was completely owning it. I texted her. I said, I'm so sorry. I'm in an airplane. The dates got messed up on my calendar. I take full responsibility. I will refund your event the moment I land, but there's just literally nothing I can do right now. And then she texted me and she said, the event's about to start. We'll talk later. So, pit of doom. I am in the worst situation that I could have imagined. I dropped the ball. I missed the date. I have an unhappy client. And this was a barely good client. This was a country club that books me quite often. So I'm just sitting on this airplane devastated. But I think the reason that I was kind of able to keep it together was that there was nothing I can do. There wasn't any scrambling. There wasn't anyone I could call. So the situation just kind of was what it was. And I was happy to refund, obviously, because I didn't deliver. And then I also told her that if there were future events at the country club, I would do them completely for free. I was just trying to say or do anything to express how sorry I was. But when I screw up, I remember I was at Float, probably my first year in balloons, and I didn't know who anybody was. And David Mahoney was teaching on stage, and he doesn't know who I am. But I think his company's huge and amazing. And to have a company that large, you're going to have unhappy customers. And I remember he was teaching and he said, people are usually pretty reasonable and all you can do is try to make it right and then move on. And in that moment, I realized that was all I could do. I tried to make it right with a refund and then free balloons in the future. And then I had to move on. I couldn't sit in this pit of misery for the next 6 hours kicking myself. Stuff happens. It sucked and it is what it is. So I got home and just kind of decompressed. And also I'm exhausted, right? I'm coming home from a 10-day vacation. I'm traveling. It all felt like so much. So the next day I kind of put on my big girl pants and I called the customer. I knew it would have been easier to send an email follow-up, but I called her and she answered and She was wonderful. She was absolutely wonderful. She said, these things happen. I totally understand. Like, it wasn't a big deal. It was a ladies' night and we still had a great time. Don't worry about it. And I apologized again. I took full ownership. I reminded her that if she has future events, I would be happy to do the balloon decor for free as my gift, my apology. And that was it. That was the end of the phone call. And I just had to kind of sit with it, knowing that I could have just lost a client. Now, here's the happy ending. Not more than a month later, I received a request through my lead capture form, and it was this same woman, and she wanted to book me for her daughter's birthday party, which I couldn't believe it. If it had been me, I would have never used the same vendor again. And she reached out. She wanted birthday decor. She did not ask for it for free. I sent the invoice. It was an arch, it was one arch. I did it completely for free. And she was like, no, please, I insist, let me pay. And I fought her on that. I said, no, like I literally forgot your last event. Like, please let me do this to make it right. And I went and I set up a balloon arch for her daughter's party, and she insisted on giving me a tip and like shoved it in my apron. And when I got in my van, it was $200. So, I don't think it could have ended any better for me personally. I felt really good about that, but I also know that it's not always going to end like that. Sometimes I'm going to screw up and it's going to result in a, unhappy customer and a bad review, but 8 years of business and hundreds of events and calendar appointments and conversations, like, I'm just going to screw up. And it's kind of a rite of passage, I think. It's hard to get to that point where you have to be okay with maybe making a mistake, or in other situations, you didn't make a mistake, but there's still an unhappy customer. That is just one of the sucky parts about having a business. And I've survived it. It sucked and I made it to the other side. So that still haunts me. Like, I still double, triple, quadruple check my calendar. But I've learned my lesson to never manually type out my confirmation emails. I let my CRM send those for me, because then if there's a mistake on my end, there's going to be a mistake in the confirmation email, which you want, because you want that customer to catch the error. You don't want to skip over that confirmation email, or they say, see you this week for my event, and you just in haste say, yep, I'll be there, not actually confirming the date and the time. So I have gotten much better at confirming. And one of the concrete solutions that I did was go into 17 Hats and I set up custom tokens. I actually asked my friend Nicole to help me with this. So if you need 17 Hats help, let Nicole help, is who I use. She helped me set up custom tokens. So basically, when my confirmation email goes out saying, see you this week for your event, it pulls that information directly from the client account. So it says, I'll see you this week for your event. Please confirm that the following information is correct. Your event date, and then it inserts the date. Delivery time, it inserts the time. Address, it inserts the address. So that is all automatic. And I don't type any of it in because, my fat fingers, if I type that I'm going to be there on the 15th instead of the 14th, then I'm basically confirming the wrong date. In this situation, it was the date that they wanted and not the date that was on my calendar. So I got myself in trouble because I deviated from a computerized system. So that is, if you have 17 Hats, those custom tokens can do the work for you. And that way, if your system sends out an email and the data is incorrect, that's good. You want to catch that. You want your customers to say, actually, no, that's not the right delivery time. Please change that on your end. I skipped that step. And that's how I got into trouble. So that is my first balloon nightmare. Whew, let's take a break. And then we are going to move on to, a really bad one. This one sucks. And it doesn't have a happy ending. So we're going to talk about an unhappy bride. Are you ready to take your balloon business to the next level? Look no further than Having a Party Wholesale, your ultimate destination for all things balloons. At Having a Party Wholesale, they're not just a distributor, they're your partner in success. With the latest and greatest in balloon innovations, they're on the cutting edge of new products that will wow your clients. From top brands like Tuftex, Jamar, Anagram, Ellie's, Premium Conwin, and more, they've got the widest selection to fuel your creativity. Elevate your balloon business with premium quality balloons and accessories that'll make every event unforgettable. Join the successful league of professional balloon artists who shop at haveinaparty.com. All right, welcome back. So, My next horror story that I'd like to share, it just straight up sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't have a good ending. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me look good. But I had a wedding that I decorated and it just went wrong. So I had a bride call me, and I do probably more weddings than most balloon people because I live in a resort town. So I can usually read the brides pretty well. Like if they're really particular, if they want a site visit, if they have custom colors, like you can tell who those high maintenance brides are going to be. Now, the thing that I think is scary about weddings, I used to really like this, but now my confidence has been shaken a little bit, I'll be honest. The thing that's scary about weddings is that the bride is usually unavailable. So they don't always see the decor until it's their wedding. And if they don't like it, by the time they see the decor, it's almost too late because the wedding's about to begin. So brides are tricky and there's a lot of extra pressure because it's a huge day. But anyway, all that to say, I was working with a bride and I didn't get any inkling that she was high maintenance, like nothing. She filled out my event form. I had like a 5-minute conversation with her on the phone. Her colors were weird. She wanted hot pink, yellow, Caribbean blue, purple. She just kept saying bright, fun, summery colors, which for me, those aren't the colors that I would pick for a wedding ever. But this was a second wedding. It seemed super casual. She kept just being like, whatever, just make it fun. So it just kind of felt like it wasn't that big of a deal. She wasn't going to be high maintenance. She wasn't going to have a ton of preferences. I'm picturing maybe like an older bride. Maybe there's going to be a lot of kids there. Again, am I going to have a big tropical color themed wedding? Probably not, but I don't think it's my place to tell a bride that her colors are weird. So I had her colors. She picked them off my color chart. They were recorded on the invoice, by name. The colors are listed, and it was just organic garland, nothing major. And then I did some centerpieces, some light up LED bobos as the centerpieces. So I get there, I set up the wedding. It's like a noon installation for an evening reception. And everything checks out, right? Like the planner's there, she sees the balloons, the table runners are hot pink, so that matches the balloons. I had even sent the bride a photo of organic garland that I had done in her wedding space, like the exact same install in different colors, right? So I get up there, I get everything hung, and I leave. And this part's actually kind of funny. I actually texted my friends being like, this one's not my favorite, weird colors, right? So I'm done for the day and I'm out shopping with my family and I get a call from the venue manager. And she's like, hey, I just want to let you know, we brought the bride in for the reveal and she hated the balloons. She was really upset. We removed them. We took them down completely before the reception started because she just didn't like them. Which sucked, right? I'm like in the middle of IKEA and I'm like, I can't form a thought. There's nothing to do. There's no solution. The wedding has already started. But this is just the venue manager kind of giving me a heads up. She's like, she's really upset. She was really unhappy and she's going to call you in the morning. And I'm like, oh, awesome. I'm going to have the best night ever waiting for this call. So of course I'm like texting all my girlfriends, anyone who has a balloon company. I'm looking for an opinion. But what it keeps coming back to is like, it was exactly what she ordered. I didn't love it, but it's what she ordered. So it was, all the colors were listed out on the invoice. The organic garland is the same formula that we follow every single time. I'm kind of like racking my brain just trying to figure out like what's going on. And the venue manager was like, she said it looked like a kindergarten birthday party. Like it was all primary colors, which again, I'm not going to argue with this venue manager, but in my head, I'm like, there were, other than yellow, there's no primary colors. Like primary is like red, blue, and yellow, right? Like bright Crayola crayons. And this was hot pink, yellow, Caribbean blue, purple, like not primary colors, the colors she had selected. So of course, my friends are like, well, that's her mistake. She picked bad colors. Like that's on her. But knowing I can't just say that, right? So all night I'm like, what do I actually say? Like, what do I say when she calls? And I can't just be like, well, sorry, that's a you problem, not a me problem. So I'm trying to figure out wording and I'm nervous. I posted in Balloon Boss Mastermind and got some advice there. But all in all, I just had to kind of wait and know that this angry call was going to come. The other thing to consider is like, brides are usually pretty stressed out. Like there's a lot going on. And sometimes, maybe the balloons are the one thing that she can actually put her finger on that she hates. She can't say it's her mother-in-law, right? She can't say it's her stupid fiance who's driving her crazy. Like, maybe she's just really stressed out, and that was one thing that she could openly criticize and do something about. So I don't know. And I know there's a lot of emotions, and I'm emotional, right? Like, I'm sensitive, but it was one of those things, unlike the last story that was totally my fault and I was happy to give a refund. This one, I really couldn't bring myself to offer that. Like, I couldn't. And I don't know if I was feeling particularly stubborn, but there were just so many things that it was like, you picked those colors. I did exactly what you asked. I was done at noon. You could have come in and looked. There were other people in the room that kind of represented you. Like, none of them had anything negative to say about it. So there were enough things that I was like, no, I just don't think this is a refund worthy situation. So one of the good pieces of advice that I got was to listen. A lot of people just want to complain. They just want to feel heard. So I was going to listen. I was going to not apologize for the balloons, but maybe apologize that she wasn't entirely satisfied or that her expectations weren't met, but not to go as far as to apologize for anything I did. So that was some advice. And then I didn't really know what I was going to do from there. I really didn't have a solid game plan, because I had just kind of dug in my heels. I had paid someone to inflate the balloons. I had paid for the balloons. I had driven out there. I had installed them. I wasn't going to give a refund. So fast forward, next morning, I actually had to go back to the venue to take down, well, not much because she already took down the balloons, but I had centerpieces with LED lights and battery packs, and I wanted those back. So I went back to the venue, and who's there? The bride. She's there. So I can tell because she has that day after bride look, right? Your eyelashes are like kind of coming off, but they're still stuck on, and her hair is kind of in an updo, but not really. And she was poking around like the gift table. I think they had left their box for cards or something. So she was there. So I took a deep breath and I went over and I was like, "Oh, are you the bride?" And she was like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Oh, I did the balloons." And she gets awkward and I get awkward. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, and like made this face, and I was like, "Yeah, I know. Yeah, you hate him. I get it." And she's like, "Yeah, they just like weren't what I was expecting." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I heard, Stephanie gave me a call and gave me a heads up. I'm so sorry that they didn't meet your expectations. What in particular?" And once again, she goes back to the like, well, they just were like the primary colors. I was hoping for like bright colors. Like I wanted like hot pink and purple and like a Caribbean blue and lime green and yellow. She literally names word for word every single color that's in the garland. So I'm just like puzzled. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Was the lighting bad? Was she in a blind rage and doesn't remember what they looked like? So just super confusing. But I felt really, really proud of myself. And I said, "I am so sorry that they didn't meet your expectations. I hope the rest of your wedding was perfect." And she was just like, "Oh, we had a great time." And the centerpieces, she got awkward and she got uncomfortable. So she changed the subject and was like, "Oh, but those centerpieces, those light up balloons, those were incredible. Everyone loved those. We were thrilled. They were so great." And I just left it at that. I said, "Oh, I'm so glad. Congratulations on your wedding and have a great day." And I walked away, and she didn't push it and I didn't push it. And I was like, way to go. No refund, So here I'm like, I thought I put the matter to rest. The other thing that I did, because I don't so much care, worst case scenario, this bride was going to leave me a 1-star review. And I felt like at this point I had enough, I guess, evidence that I would have felt comfortable posting a reply to a bad review with a photo of what I did and just say like, "Those were the colors you picked. Sorry you weren't happy," whatever. So I was kind of over the idea of the bride being unhappy, but I didn't want the venue to have a bad impression of me. So I did call the venue manager, and I actually thanked her for giving me a heads up. If I had gone into that situation blind and not had any idea that the bride was unhappy, I would have been really like not prepared. So I did reach out to the venue manager and thank her. And I explained the situation and said that I talked to the bride and she had calmed down. So maybe her wedding night was just, especially emotional or something. So try to smooth that over as well, because the actual worst situation would be if the venue, where I do quite a bit of work, suddenly didn't recommend me anymore. So I really made them my top priority. However, The story is not over. It was not the end of this bride. I did receive an email, and I'm going to tell you what it said and how I responded right after this break.
Hi, I'm Jeff from Balloon Suite. Following up with your existing customers is one of the best ways to grow sales and add new people to your customer list. You don't have to spend all of your effort seeking new customers every month and every year. You can do great marketing and great outreach to those customers you've already made happy, and you can use those relationships to grow your business. If you would like to learn more, come on over to balloonsuite.com. We offer sales and marketing packages designed to help you grow your business, and we offer an exclusive blog to our members with the expertise you need to grow your sales, particularly in this area of follow-up. You can learn more at balloonsuite.com.
All right, welcome back. So, unfortunately, that is not where the story ends. About a month later, I got an email from the bride, and I have it pulled up. I'm going to read it to you. So, this is not to harp on a bad situation, but I do think it's important for me personally to learn from it, to talk about how I handled it, what I said, some of the tools I used to kind of prepare myself. So this is kind of the learning chunk of this episode. So here is the gist of this email. Good afternoon. I'm sorry I haven't reached out sooner. It's been crazy since the wedding. When I saw you the morning after the wedding, I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I know Stephanie, that's the event manager, had also reached out about the balloons. I was just so unhappy, and so was she. That I don't know if I agree with. I expected bright summer colors: lime green, yellow, purple, hot pink, as well as small, medium, large, all mixed together, like in the pictures. Stephanie even said she loves your work, and this was not the norm. Again, I don't like her putting words in the venue manager's mouth because that was not the conversation I had, but moving on. This looked like primary school colors. They took down the balloons. We absolutely loved the LED balloons, though. Thank you for those, 1,000,000 exclamation points. So if you feel a refund would work for you, I would truly appreciate it. Thank you. So I closed my computer. I walked away for a bit. I did not think a refund was appropriate because once again, she listed off the exact colors that she wanted in the garland, which is what was in the garland. And it was organic. So of course we did use all different size colors. It started occurring to me that maybe they took them down so fast that she had actually forgotten what the balloons looked like. Like, I'm not debating whether or not she liked them, but I think she didn't like them. They took them down, and then she made up in her head what she thought they actually looked like. Like, she almost made them look worse in her brain. I don't know. I couldn't figure that out because she just kept saying the same colors. So I typed out what I wanted to say briefly in ChatGPT, and I ran it through that AI so that it could clean up my writing and make it a bit more thorough. And here's the response that it gave me. I copied it and sent it almost exactly. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for getting in touch. I'm delighted to hear that you enjoyed the light up balloons. Regarding the balloon garland, I'd like to address your concerns. While I understand your expectations were not entirely met, and I love that line, that is not from me, that's from a robot. While I understand your expectations were not entirely met, I'd like to clarify a few points. The colors selected from your garland were indeed hot pink, yellow, purple, lime, and coral, as indicated on the invoice in your most recent email. These were the colors used in crafting your garland consistent with the information provided. Additionally, the sizing of the garland adheres to our standard formula that we apply to all of our garlands, including the inspiration photo originally shared. I regret that it didn't align with your vision for your wedding, but we rely on the information provided to us when fulfilling orders. Oh my gosh, ChatGPT killing it. That's such a good paragraph. I'm genuinely sorry that we couldn't connect with you before the room reveal. Our team was on site for approximately 2 hours that morning, allowing ample time for color adjustments and ensuring your complete satisfaction had we been informed. And that part is true. I could have adjusted pretty much everything if she had just given it a little sneak peek. Okay, so then luckily, here's where I was glad I took a picture. Always take a picture. I said, for your reference, I've attached a photo to compare the colors used in the garland. And then I inserted a photo of what I installed. While I understand your disappointment, I hope this clarifies our perspective. We value your feedback and are committed to improving our services. As a gesture of goodwill, I'd like to offer you a discount on your next order with us, which she obviously will not be placing. Thank you for choosing us for your special occasion, and I hope we can have the opportunity to exceed your expectations in the future. So that's the end. that's the last of it. I sent that email and I never heard back. And I can get in my own head of like, why didn't she respond? Did I win? Did she see the photo and realize that I was actually right? And in the end, none of that matters. But the solution was write an email clarifying my perspective. I used ChatGPT to help me make it coherent and professional and like kind of non-emotional. And having a picture was important. Sometimes I actually don't snap a picture. So having that photo to rely on, because they didn't leave the balloons up, there was no, I don't want to say proof, but like I genuinely think that she recreated something in her brain that she actually hated more than what was really there. So having that picture was important. And in the end, I did offer a discount off of a future order. I felt like that was a good compromise, but I wasn't going to discount a month after the fact balloons that were exactly what she ordered. So, am I super happy with how that turned out? No, but I'm not unhappy. She didn't leave me a bad review. She didn't go out of her way to make it extra painful. At some point, had she responded again, maybe I would have given her a partial refund just to like get her out of my life, but she didn't make a stink. I'm sure she kind of was over it too at that point, but it sucked. Like that's the moral of the story. Sometimes you're not going to get the rave reviews that you want. And I feel like most of the time we do. So it's like extra painful when people aren't happy with what we provide, but I stuck to my guns. So I'm proud with how I handled it, but still overall disappointed. Like I'm never wanting to have someone unhappy at their wedding. Moving forward though, I am going to require that someone from the wedding be present. I want the bride to see it. I want someone on the bridal party to see the balloons. I want approval before the wedding so that this doesn't happen again, that there's not like 10 minutes before they come in and there's a problem and I can't get there or fix it. So I do want to have verbal approval moving forward. And I think I only have like 1 or 2 weddings coming up that I even have scheduled. In general, in my area, weddings have died down a lot for balloons. They used to be much more popular. I think the trend is kind of dying around here. So I'm not too upset about that. I've never had a bridezilla. I've never had a terrible bride. Even this bride, she wasn't crazy. Like she wasn't out of line. I'm just very confused at where we went wrong. And in the end, I think she just was unhappy with the colors she chose and expected me to be a bit of a mind reader. And maybe I allowed that too much. Maybe I should have followed up more. I should have required someone to be there. I should have double checked the colors. But you can't win them all. And I think that's kind of the sucky lesson from this. That's just the reality of 8 years in a customer service type of position. You're going to have unhappy customers. And I think all that matters is how you react and how you behave. So I hope that maybe this was a little bit funny to listen to, a little bit fun. I'm sure some of you listening have screwed up and maybe this makes you feel a little bit better. I know we don't like to brag about the things that we have done wrong or the unhappy customers, but I truly just think it's a reality of this job. So don't beat yourself up. Do what you can to move on. People are pretty reasonable most of the time, and all you can do is try to make it right. So I hope everyone has a happy Halloween, and I have to head out with my little Spider-Man girl to get some treats. So take care, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.